One of the greatest things about a data person is you're going to find a lot of us are overthinkers, and you can overthink yourself into being paused. And so I would say if you're an overthinker, but you've been thinking about data, you probably should be encouraged to at least explore it.
Hey nerds, Monica here. Welcome to the Data Podcast for Nerds, where we get to talk to amazing professionals and ask them all about how they're using data to solve the world's problems. We're sharing all the tips, tricks, and nerdy fun bits to make you the best data professional you can be. Today with us, we have Robin Hunt. How are you doing today, Robin?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It is a great start to the new year. I'm excited to see all of the things that everyone in our community gets into this year.
Oh, I know, right? It's
Yeah.
lots of fun tech to work with, and new ideas and new innovations. And yeah, I'm excited for what 2025 brings for sure.
Absolutely. I'm seeing everyone sharing their goals and what they're getting into, and it's just getting me very excited. I have a huge wall calendar that shows the entire year in one eye shot, and I just love putting my big events on that
Oh, yeah.
calendar just to see, what's laid out and get excited throughout the entire year.
That's fun. So we have a scheduling process which allows us to lay out a year's worth of time, and it takes almost the entire wall in the office to do it for the entire team. And we do use paper and post-its and ideas and planning, but I gotta have that snapshot to
Mm-hmm.
see every bit of it, because
Yep.
in those little, you can move things around and make adjustments. And so yeah, I've been looking at our 2025 snapshot for more than a minute. And
Yeah.
it's like, wow, it's here, it's on. So
Yeah. That's awesome.
it is awesome.
Well, we typically start off our show by understanding people's origin stories. So,
Okay.
if you could please tell us about your background and how you got to where you are today in your career.
So it's interesting, and I've mentioned to you the idea of the origin story has just been, I've just been chewing on it since I read it. And so I started my career in Birmingham in 2000 with a strong desire to have a job.
I like that. That's a good goal.
Yeah, and I was coming from a small town in middle Mississippi, so there just wasn't a ton of opportunity there, and tech really wasn't on my in my mind, on my horizon. But I had been working with software and teaching people how to communicate via email. Um, and so because I was teaching people how to use email, I put my resume out on monster.com, and I got interviewed for a sales job that I said, no, I don't want to do the sales job. And they were like, well, but you have some training on your resume for Outlook and email. Do you want to come in and try to be a trainer? And so I said, well, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I had no idea that I had any aptitudes or inclination or anything for training. And they were like, you can teach how to bake a cake. I'm in trouble. I was like, could y'all have picked something harder for me to
Yes.
talk about? I'm not sure what I could have talked about at that point, but it wasn't baking cakes, and even today, it's still not baking cake. I've learned enough to talk about other people baking cakes. I'll say that much.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a good baker
Yeah,
either.
yeah. Like I have friends who are good bakers. It's like when you've had their baked goods, you're like, I'm not doing this. I can't participate in this. So, but they called me like right before and they said, "Hey, change of plans. We'd really love to see you teach a topic related to tech, and we're interested in seeing how you present Windows 95." Said, "I would love to teach Windows 95." And I said, "What do you want me to teach?" They're like, "Whatever you come up with." And I was like, "Okay, so now I got to come up with something." And so I said, "You know what? I think I'll teach people how to create a proper folder structure
Mm,
from their desktop so they can start managing their project files." I don't even know where that came from. But anyway, I got in there and did my practice teach, and the minute I stood up, just like this switch went off, and I knew that's where I needed to be, and that's what I wanted to do, and that really opened up the door for everything that would come after that in the next, fast forward 24.
mhm. That's awesome.
Yeah,
When they asked you to teach that particular topic, did you have any prior experience in it, or did you have to learn it to teach it?
I had to learn. Obviously, I was using Windows 95 as an operating system to teach email, right? But not like I didn't. I think I was teaching it and I didn't understand what operating system was versus what Outlook was. Like I knew there were different softwares, but I didn't understand like what that really meant.
Mhm.
But I knew what I knew, and I knew I didn't know everything. And so I did the best I could to know everything I needed to know at that point. But it really started a lifelong journey of learning and trying to figure out context and not wanting to look like an idiot in front of people who paid to be there. Like that was a big driver, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say yeah, it started it just inspired me in tech. I can't describe it. I love my origin story because I think it's relatable. I just I needed an opportunity, and I was not in a place where tech was something that was happening around me. It was the paper mill was happening around me. So getting to Birmingham represented a lot of change and opportunity all at the same time.
Yeah. And that's really awesome how that just like sparked that inspiration and you're like, this is what I need to be doing with my life.
Yes.
So
Yes.
where did that bring you next and where are you today?
Oh my goodness. Like where it brought me next was I got recruited into two corporate organizations to do development and do training. And then that just opened up a whole host of new skills by working in a corporate training environment versus being in a training environment that trained corporate. It just enhanced my knowledge. Um, it used to be back in the late 90s, early 2000s, people were coming to training all the time because, Windows 95, like, again, spurred a whole level of innovation. And so people would come in for 8-hour training days. Well, I recognize like that's not going to last forever. Like some topics we don't need 8 hours to train. Like we need just a few hours. And the company that I worked for, uh, they didn't want to change their model because they were a company. They had a model. They believed in their model. I understand that now. I didn't understand that then. I was very spirited and sassy back then. Still very spirited and sassy, I'm afraid, but like I didn't really fully get why they wouldn't change their model when I could so clearly see that it needed to change. But somehow or another, I opened up my own business and started at a time when Netflix was new. So Netflix was new. And then I just was like, and YouTube was not too old. And I was like, companies really need their own Netflix, YouTube situation so they can, put their proprietary training out there for their internal staff. And so developed a piece of software to do that. It was a very early, really was actually probably groundbreaking, but nobody knew who I was or where I was. And I'm sitting in Birmingham, Alabama, which is not known for serious, innovation funding for startups or anything like that. Um, and then met my now business partner, and that was almost 14 years ago. And we founded ThinkData together so we could work on spreadsheets and build software and write reports, and that alone opened up all of the opportunities that I'm living in now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are your favorite topics to give trainings on? Either topics or different types of systems and whatnot.
Gosh, it's going to sound the opposite of what most people would probably think. Um, I really love teaching digital literacy. It's shocking, probably. Digital literacy is one of the hardest things to teach
Yeah.
and be effective. And so I like the complexity of it. And I think it's not the complexity of the topic. I mean, it's not the topic.
Mm-hmm.
It's the engaging with a student and learning how to read their physical reactions to understand, like, did they get that? Did they not get that? And knowing that if they don't get it, they really can't move forward.
Mm.
And so fine tuning and getting people where they're digitally literate, I'm so for that. I love that. I love to teach that. I love that I've passed that into my instructional staff who actively teach digital literacy in our community. My next favorite topic would be Power Query, which you already know. I love Power Query, like big hearts for Power Query. And then Excel. I love to teach good old fashioned Excel. I wrote a course called Excel Data Worker years ago that we've enhanced and leveraged for all of our corporate trainings. And yeah, I mean, I could just wake up every day and do digital literacy, Power Query, and Excel, and it would just be a great day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It doesn't matter which level. It could be like utter beginning or like, hey, we need to start programming stuff. Don't care. Just all four of those things.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you do the corporate trainings, and I know you also have this data analytics boot camp apprenticeship thing.
Oh, I love the
Can you tell us
apprenticeship.
more about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. So I was able to work with CompTIA for CompTIA Data Plus, and Daniel and I worked with CompTIA for Data Systems Plus. And those two certifications are vendor neutral, tools agnostic, which I'm also very much try to be vendor neutral, tools agnostic, because we never know what we're going to be getting into. And CompTIA products are taught all over the country, all over the world because of who they are as a certifying body. And so the uh, official curriculum and the things that are covered by Data Plus and covered by that competency gained by getting that certification actually got accepted as national standards for data analytics.
That's awesome.
Right. I didn't know that. I didn't know that when it was happening, but I knew it after the fact. And so this really offered us an opportunity to go, well, my goodness, if everybody in the country is going to be teaching this, then we certainly should be. But my desire and ThinkData as a mission have wanted to pour into our community and build the workforce through skills forever. We've contributed as much as we've ever been able to building our community in that way. And so having created the book that has some of the national standards in it really opened up an opportunity for us to develop our apprenticeship model.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do have a federally registered data apprenticeship, and it's nationally recognized. And what that really means is we're able to take an employer who wants to build their data skills inside their organization and a person who wants to upskill or pursue data as a career to have an opportunity where they're learning and earning at the same time. So it's a real job and they're getting skilled while they're on the job and actually practicing while they're on the job. So apprenticeships are not new as a model, right? Like apprenticeships
Yeah.
have existed in the skilled trades forever. I think what makes us a little bit different is that I don't look at data analytics or really any technical domain as any different than the skilled trades. Software developer, a data analyst, a pipe worker, line worker, steel worker, we can all be trained through apprenticeship to be better at our craft. And so
Yeah.
the apprenticeship allows us to really do that. So I think that's probably what got me on the origin story is like sometimes we get so stuck in our beginnings that we don't really settle in to like where we are now. And like every opportunity is really another way to adjust your origin story. I guess. I don't know if that's how it works in comic book land, but it's certainly been a part of my life. So it's like, yeah, I started here, but we've just grown and done so many cool things because of willingness of everybody to, just adopt the idea that skills matter and people matter, and training people in those skills so they can change their careers matters. And
Yeah.
we're just fortunate enough that we get to do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That CompTIA Data Plus sounds like a really good cert. What topics are covered? And for anybody that wants to get that certification, what would be the best way to prepare them for that exam?
Absolutely. So obviously, I'm going to say preparation through the official curriculum. You can purchase the content in several outfits, but CompTIA themselves has the official curriculum, and they're the certifying body. I would say, depending on your learning style, there's something for everybody everywhere in that CompTIA stack. And if Data Plus is not your thing, there's other things there like security, which I know you're into. There's all kind of certs there, but Data Plus itself focuses on 5 domains of data analytics, database concepts and environments. It has a data analysis component, obviously, where you get in some of the statistical components of data analysis, cleaning and mining data, which is, 80% of the job, getting it, acquiring it, cleaning it, transforming it. It also covers visualization. And then there is a component of data governance as it impacts the data analyst. So it goes deep into those 5 domains. I would say it's an entry level certification for data analytics, but it's not an entry level certification, if that makes sense. You have to have a certain amount of experience to be able to digest the information that you'll be receiving there. But I've seen people come from having basically no idea to being certified and actually working in the field and doing the job. So I think it's just a little something for everybody. Also, it's a good way if you don't know if you're really into data, but you think you're into tech. It's a
Ah.
good, soft, easy way to like pursue technical domains outside of data. And then you're just going in with some data analytic skills, which never hurts anybody.
You mentioned that it's tool agnostic, but when you are going through like the data visualization and the data cleaning, you're using some kind of tools. So what tools are you using?
And so luckily for me, I've been able to use a lot of tools. So I was covering a wide variety. Like, we discussed Power BI and Tableau when we're talking about dashboards, but then we're talking about paginated reports. I'm talking about crystal reports, which I'm a big fan of, but it's not around as much. Power BI report builder. And then in these next versions, we're going to just continue to expand.
Okay.
So we do touch on a lot of different software, but it's really more core into the concepts behind what we're teaching and how it's applicable across any particular software.
I love that.
Yeah. You probably agree with this too, Monica. Like, software can be learned.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you know how to do it in one, you can do it in another. But if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, no amount of software helps.
This is
So
very true.
yeah, yeah. So we really try to take that approach in everything that we create and develop for our own company and for other companies. So I do love the idea of tools agnostic and vendor neutral. But yeah, we are touching actual, software that everybody uses in the workplace.
Yeah, those
Some of the big ones.
the big ones.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's 100. Like there's just so many visualization tools out there these days. But there's some primarily are ones that are adopted that you can certainly teach techniques from.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, part of our podcast, we really love to incorporate some fun bits.
Okay.
And we'll do kind of a speed round from me previously talking with you and,
Okay.
learning a little bit of nerdy fun facts about yourself. So, I have some questions for you.
I was so scared of this, but okay, yes.
I don't know if you know this famous interviewer, Nardwar. And he basically goes through and looks at people's bios and comes up with questions. I really
Okay.
like his interviewing skills. Also, someone that's very similar is the Hot Ones
Oh yeah,
guy.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
love the way that they interview people, and
Yes.
so I am trying to incorporate that style more into season 3. We're on season 3 of my podcast right now,
Oh,
and so we'll see
congratulations
how
on
that
that.
goes.
So good. Next time, maybe we can meet because you're in Arizona, right? Can we say that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I'll come there when it's not a hot one, and maybe we can share some hot sauce
Oh,
and replicate hot ones. I love that show mainly
I
because I
would
want to eat the hot
absolutely
sauce.
love that so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I could do pretty good. I would just be sweating. Okay,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Let's do it. Let's hear the fun. Let's hear the fun round.
All right, the fun bits. So you mentioned that you are a Star Wars fan, and my
Yeah.
question to you is, who is your favorite character?
Oh man. I mean, I sort of like Han Solo. But part of me says Kylo Ren is kind of fun. This is really hard for me to have a favorite because I just love all of it. I don't like have a solid. I don't have a solid favorite. I like all of it, but
That's fair.
and I like different characters for different reasons.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a tough. That's I can't answer. It's just too tough.
How about if a Star Wars character was playing you in a documentary? Who would it be?
Oh Lord. If a Star Wars character was playing me in a documentary, oh no, I don't even know. Like, I would have to be I don't know.
I feel like it would be Yoda. Very wise, very good at instructing others and guiding others through their journeys, right?
So you have a character picked out for me. That's perfect.
Yes.
Yes, yes, I like that. Again, that's it's impossible for me to frame my brain that way. That's terrible.
All right, next question. You live in Alabama,
I do.
and I wanted to ask, what is the best restaurant that y'all have?
Ooh, mm, we have a lot of great food in our city. Lots of just amazingness. I don't know. I love Sir and West. That's my like I've been eating there for 24 years. I eat the same thing every time I go. I love that restaurant.
What kind of food is that?
It's Thai food and
Okay.
sushi, and so
Oh,
it's outstanding. I love it. That's my favorite. And I don't know this. He may be a James Beard winner, but I don't know. Hot and Hot Fish Company is really amazing. I like it. Highlands, Batola. Like we have so many good restaurants here. It's impossible. Like if I get a feeling like, hey, I want to eat this, there's a place for me to go and get it.
hmm.
So yeah, I think that's one of the if you live in this community, you know about our wonderful food scene. I don't know that other people outside in the world understand how good the food is in Birmingham. It's worth visiting just to kind of tour some of our food.
Awesome. I'll have to
Yeah.
do that one day. All right, last nerdy fun bit question. You obviously love Excel. What is your favorite Excel function?
Ooh. I like a good old fashioned if function.
Okay.
Yeah. Those are not the only ones I do. I love to teach VLOOKUPs.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't love to do VLOOKUPs, but I love to teach VLOOKUPs because you're basically teaching joins in this weird way. So like I love that. But I would say, yeah, probably a if function, conditional, or logical type function are my favorites. Anything that
Yeah.
creates data that I don't have makes me happy.
Yes, I love
Yeah.
that. Just
Yeah.
creating your own stuff.
That's right. Especially if I'm creating it from another data point, because it's like, okay, data creating data that then goes and does things. I'm 100% for that. That's like my favorite. Whatever function gets me there, that's where I want to be.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that.
Me too. Me too.
One question that I ask all of my guests is around learning. So, when
Mm.
you are learning something new, what are your go to approaches or resources for that?
Mm. So let me answer from a like it doesn't matter what it is perspective. I read. I like to read. But I'm a fast reader. Okay, so like I can read, scan, pick up something pretty fast, which is I've noticed some people can do that, some people cannot do that.
I cannot.
Yeah. And so like I can consume a ton of like information and then route myself where I need to be. So like I usually start with reading something. I use good old fashioned Google, just like everybody else. I have been exploring the uses of AI and different, like, I use Copilot and Chat GPT, but I'm using them, I would say probably sparingly because I'm trying to figure out how to not lose my original voice, which is extremely important for me as an author to not lose that original voice, but also get the power of AI. So I'm not using AI necessarily to teach myself anything. But I can definitely see where others are going to be able to use that as another go-to resource. For years, I use things like Stack Overflow and Experts Exchange and all of that. So yeah, I typically start with reading,
Yeah.
do a lot of reading, and then route myself. Um, I am inclined these days. Some people love to go to YouTube.
I do. I love
Yeah,
YouTube.
I do love YouTube, and if so I think it depends on what I'm learning and what I'm learning for that will control where I go. So, like, if I was going to say, let me go look up what's hot and new in data security, I'm probably going to go to LinkedIn Learning and land on your course because of the way they vet the authors, right? So it's like, I know I'm going to get what I'm looking for there. But like, if I'm looking for like a quick, how do I get through this function? What is the syntax of this? I'm probably Googling it and hitting a YouTube.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a good approach because there's different styles and I mean, if you're looking for something new, you wouldn't necessarily go to a book because those are slower to be produced and whatnot. So yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
And I don't know, when I say book, I mean universally. Like it may be, I'm less inclined to have a physical book, but if I'm going to do some really deep study, like let me answer for someone who might be preparing for certification, which is me. I got a new one to prepare for. I definitely will use a physical book because you read faster on a printed page. So you can
Mm.
actually physically read faster on printed pages. So the type of learning also plays learning is a bit like if you'd asked me the nerd questions on learning, we could probably nerd it out for at least 5,000 hours. There's so much that goes into learning. So I would say for me, a physical book, when I have to do deep learning and physical practice and I got to retain it so that I'm preparing to test on it, like I definitely going to go grab a physical book. But otherwise I'm reading PDFs, websites, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of reading.
Do you have any other final words of encouragement or recommendations for the listeners out there?
I love to encourage people just to, you know, my students hear me say all the time, fortune smiles on the bold. So I do like to encourage people to kind of get outside of yourself a little bit. One of the greatest things about a data person is like you're going to find a lot of us are overthinkers, and you can overthink yourself into being paused. And so I would say if you're an overthinker, but you've been thinking about data, like if you're an overthinker and you're thinking about data, you probably should be encouraged to at least explore it. There's plenty of free opportunities out there for you to engage with content and try to dig a little bit deeper. And nobody ever is hurt by having deeper Excel skills. And there's some amazing Excel authors out there to learn and consume from. So I just encourage people to just take on 2025 and be bold. And don't let your overthinking get in the way of you pursuing more data analytical skills. And just remember that all of us use data in every facet of our life. So having more skills in it is, again, never a bad idea.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, thank you so very much, Robin, for coming on the show and sharing all of your knowledge with us.
Sorry, I wish I was more fun in the fun section. I'm not fun.
Oh, it was fun. I had a lot of fun.
Again, there's the overthinker in me.
I do appreciate you, Robin. If any of the listeners have any questions for you, where can they find and or follow you?
Yeah, so I encourage people to follow me on LinkedIn. You can go find me and choose follow. And if you watch this podcast, you can send me a little note, connect, and say how you found us. And yeah, I think that's the easiest way. And then obviously, ThinkData has tons of social profile out there, and I encourage anybody to follow that as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. And as always, folks, happy learning. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Data Podcast for Nerds. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you want to transition your career and become a data professional, follow me on LinkedIn for even more tips, tricks, and nerdy fun bits.